It's Mental Health Awareness Month. We've been discussing it all month long, and for anyone interested, there's no shortage of resources available online for anyone who may be struggling.
This morning, one author and former critical care nurse is sharing tips on how to help improve the mental health of children. We're joined now by author and stress educator Jennifer Tolo with more. Good morning. Thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's dive right into it. For those who are struggling, let's talk a little bit about the resources available and just from your own personal experience, which resource is the most helpful and beneficial?
Well, there's all sorts of studies that talk about connection, and I really feel like sometimes, obviously, parent connection to their child is really important. Connection to others. In fact, the Surgeon General just came out saying that there's an epidemic of loneliness happening in our country. So I am a firm believer that connection is really critical. So sometimes kids don't feel connected to their parents. Sometimes parents don't have the tools to really connect with their kids. But teachers and anybody in their world, an adult, an aunt, a grandparent, a neighbor, somebody, kids and people in general just want to feel seen. They want to feel heard. They want to feel important. They want to feel loved. So this is our biggest resource that we all have at our disposal.
Jennifer, while we have you, and to really start things off, I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about your background, because you've got nearly 2 decades in this so far. Can you just brief us on your journey?
Absolutely. Well, I was a critical care nurse, always wanted to help people, always felt very maternal, nurturing. My first son was born, everything was great. I was very type A, thought I had everything under control. And then my second son was born and he had a massive neonatal stroke. And then that really awakened me to the need for integrative healthcare and holistic healing and all of that. It really woke me up to the gaps in healthcare. And then a few years later, my third son was diagnosed with leukemia. And I had all the tools to connect. I knew about nutrition. I knew about Reiki and alternative healing. But all of this awakened me again to the gaps in healthcare and the gaps in how we approach the whole person. Fast forward a couple of years later, well, I shouldn't say a couple of years later, but my older son, because he was really struggling with feeling important, because he had 2 younger brothers and a baby brother that were really demanding attention. My son's junior year in high school, he was suicidal. He was storing all of these emotions, didn't want to burden anybody, and wanted to, felt like he could handle everything on his own, and he couldn't. And he was at a very prominent private school, one of the top in the country in Massachusetts. And I remember they would reach out to me saying how wonderful he was and how he was so capable, and they just kept piling more to-dos on him. And I remember saying to them, you know, it's great. Yes, he's very capable, but what's the cost? What is the price? And it was really this wake-up call for me that I really needed to get present with my son and let him know that he is important and that he's not burdening me, and it's important to share what he's feeling. And I had to help him process through all of this stuff. And I'm happy to say he's an adult. He's almost 24. He's doing great. And, you know, my other kids, we still face mental health challenges. We still face, one of my sons that had the stroke had some cognitive difficulties and has some social and emotional challenges. So it's a process, it's a journey, but my presence and my connection is really key as their parent.
Jennifer, your family has been through so many obstacles. You know, what would you say to someone watching right now who maybe is feeling like their child feels unseen and unheard, and who's saying, okay, that may be how my eldest is feeling?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of kids, Abby, out there right now that are feeling unseen and unheard. My youngest son, sadly, was just in a lockdown drill a couple days ago. Literally, I was just talking about this issue, and there was a active shooter warning on his school, in his school. So there was so much fear on these kids, and all we can do as parents is really just be present with them. We can't fix it for them. We try to fix it oftentimes, and what we're actually doing is robbing them of the ability to be resilient and to find their own inner strength and to problem solve. So
we've
really
got
just
I hate to cut you off. I just don't want to run out of time here. My Family Fuel, a busy mom's guides to healthy living, whole health educator. I'm wondering, where can people get the book?
They can go on to Amazon, or they can follow me on Instagram at Jen Wren, W-R-E-N Tolo, and I have links there.
Jennifer Tolo, thank you so much for your time this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have our local headlines coming up next.